They say nightmares are just dreams. But what if your nightmare was real? What if you woke up and someone else was already in the room with you? Breathing, watching, touching this is the story of Lady Isabella Arkwright, the only daughter of a royal bloodline who moved from Europe to California in the early 2000s. Her family purchased a century-old mansion in the hills of Santa Barbara, California, a palace-like home imported stone by stone from London. But the foundation carried more than just history, it carried a curse. Isabella was 21, elegant, beautiful, known for her grace. She had long, dark hair and piercing green eyes. She was the type of woman people never forgot. But inside she was restless. She often complained to her maids that she could not sleep well, that every night she felt watched. The mansion itself was silent yet alive. Chandeliers rattled even when no wind past hallways echoed with footsteps. Maids often resigned after a few weeks, saying they felt hands brushing against their backs when no one was there. But Isabella refused to leave. This was her home one winter night in 2006. Isabella went to bed around midnight. She had just finished writing. In her diary, she wrote, "I feel as if someone stands at the foot of my bed every night. The perfume of old flowers hangs in my room, though no one brings them. And sometimes my body cannot move, though my eyes are wide open." That night, the horror began. Isabella drifted into sleep. At exactly 3 a.m., she woke suddenly, her eyes open, but her body was frozen. She tried to scream, but her lips did not move. The shadows of the canopy above her bed seemed to stretch lower until they shaped into a tall figure. She could hear it breathing slow, heavy male like her mind screamed. But her voice failed. The figure leaned closer. Cold air brushed her cheek. A whisper echoed in her ear. "Mine, mine, forever mine." Isabella felt pressure on her chest, as though invisible hands were pinning her down. She struggled to move, but nothing worked. Then she felt something colder, the sensation of icy fingers tracing her arm up to her throat. She tried to turn her head, but the figure pressed harder. She could hear the sound of sheets shifting, but she could not see its face. Only darkness. Finally, with all her strength, she jerked her finger, and suddenly her body released. She gasped, sitting upright. Her heart thundered. Her bedroom was empty. But the perfume of wilted roses filled the air. The same roses her ancestors used to bury with the dead in England. Centuries ago, shaken Isabella lit every candle in her room and stayed awake until morning. But this was just the first night. The following week, Isabella experienced the same paralysis. Again, sometimes it was the feeling of lips brushing her ear. Sometimes it was cold hands crawling across her body. Sometimes it was the horrifying sound of someone whispering her childhood name, a name only her late father had used. She started locking her doors and windows, but every morning her windows were open. Curtains swaying in the coastal wind, her diary filled with desperate words written in shaky handwriting. "I can't escape it. It waits for me in sleep. It wants me. It will not stop." By now, her servants were terrified. They heard a woman screams at night, but when they ran into Isabella's room, she was still asleep, her eyes wide open, her mouth moving but no sound coming out. A priest was called. He blessed the mansion, sprinkling holy water. But that night the attacks grew worse. Isabella was dragged halfway down her bed, as if pulled by invisible hands. Scratch marks appeared on her arms, though no human had touched her. Her mother begged her to leave the mansion. Isabella refused, she said. "If I leave, it will follow me. I am trapped." The haunting climaxed on the 13th night. Isabella was asleep when the entire chandelier above her bed began to shake violently. The servants rushed in, but froze in terror. Isabella floated 2 feet above her bed. Her arms spread wide, her eyes rolled back. A voice, deep and guttural, echoed from her mouth, saying, "She belongs to me. She is mine." The servants pulled her down as the candles blew out one by one. Darkness swallowed the room. The last thing they heard before silence was a man's laugh echoing through the walls. After the 13th night, the mansion of California's royal daughter, Lady Isabella, became a living nightmare. No one slept a bit. The servants kept candles lit in every corner, but still the shadows moved on their own. Isabella herself had changed. Her eyes were always bloodshot, her skin pale, and her once sweet voice often broke into whispers of words no one understood. Ancient words not of this world. Her mother called to investigators from Los Angeles, men who claimed to have handled demonic hauntings. They placed cameras in Isabella's room, salt lines on the floor, and crucifixes on every wall. That night, the cameras rolled. Isabella lay in bed, clutching her blanket. At exactly 3 a.m., her body stiffened. She was awake, but frozen again. Her eyes darted to the camera, pleading for help. The investigators leaned closer to the monitor. And then it happened. The blanket slowly slid off Isabella's body as if pulled by invisible hands. Her lips trembled. A whisper escaped her mouth. He seared. The crucifixes shook violently. One flew across the room, smashing against the mirror. The reflection showed not Isabella, but a shadowy man standing behind her. The cameras recorded a deep growl. Not human, not animal. Suddenly, Isabella's body jerked into the air. The salt circle around her bed scattered like dust. The investigators ran into the room, but the door slammed shut. Locking them out, they could only hear Isabella's muffled screams and a heavy voice repeating, "Mine, mine, forever, mine." When they finally broke in, they found her lying still. Sheets torn her throat, marked with deep red handprints, as if something unseen had tried to choke the life out of her. Yet, she breathed, eyes open, tears running silently. The next day, priests from San Diego arrived. This was no longer a haunting, it was possession. They performed exorcism rites. Isabella tied to the bed, chanting prayers. But the moment they began, the air turned ice cold. Isabella's voice changed deep and male, the same words again. "You cannot take her. She is mine." The priests sprinkled holy water, Isabella screamed. Her body arched, bones cracking as if something inside her fought violently. The windows burst open. Wind howled, extinguishing the candles. Then silence. Her lips moved slowly, and the voice spoke from her throat. "Do you know who I am? I am the one who visited her ancestors centuries ago. I have waded through bloodlines. She was promised to me. She will not leave." At that moment, Isabella's body bent backwards unnaturally. Her jaw dislocated, eyes blackened. Her mother fell to her knees, crying, begging the spirit to stop. But the voice only laughed, echoing through the mansion. The exorcism lasted for hours. The walls bled with dark stains, paintings fell from the walls, servants ran away, screaming. But Isabella's mother stayed. Clutching a rosary, she shouted, "Take me instead." The room froze silent, then Isabella's body dropped lifeless to the bed, her chest unmoving for a full minute. Everyone thought she was dead until she gasped, her eyes normal once more. Tears streaming, she whispered, "Mama, he-s gone." But was he? Weeks later, Isabella seemed recovered. No more paralysis, no more screams. She tried to live again. The family sealed the mansion and moved to a new estate, but one thing was never explained. The investigators reviewed the last tape in the final seconds after Isabella woke safe. The camera captured her bedroom mirror for just 2 frames. A tall shadow stood behind her, grinning, its hand brushing her hair. And in her diary, a final entry appeared, written in handwriting not her own. It read, "I let her rest for now. But when she sleeps again, I will return the moral. No matter how powerful your bloodline is, no matter how much wealth you carry, the night belongs to the things you cannot see. And when you sleep, you are never truly alone."